Well, hello everybody. Here we are, a little bit later than most people have jumped on the bandwagon, but we are here with an FM24 save. Apologies for the lateness. That the OBS wasn't playing ball. It's still not perfect. You might notice it's a bit janky. It might be a little bit slow in places, but I am working on it. I don't know what it is because the actual system settings or the system requirements for FM24 aren't too different to FM23, so whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, we are here with the Bristol City save. I did do quite a successful save with Brighton, of course, Brighton on the beta or the early access, however you want to call it. And you might notice I'm not changing this picture. I think that's quite a close, accurate reflection of me, so I'm not going to change that from the default in-game face. But when I was doing the beta, I was thinking about what I wanted to do. Originally, we were going to do a save in Turkey and try and build like a Turkish team up to be one of the best in Europe. And I thought, you know what, like it's kind of been done. It's kind of the thing. And I was just looking through, and then this actual save has sort of had its own sort of two iterations of what we were going to do. The first idea, as you know, I do like to title my series. The first idea, we were going to title it The Birds and the Bees. And the idea was going to be we were going to take Bristol and we were going to use the methods that Brighton, the Seagulls being the birds, and Brentford use, obviously being the bees, and we would turn Bristol basically into the new Brentford or Brighton. But I thought, you know what, it's been done, it's a dime a dozen, it's been done 1,000,001 times. And then I started looking at like a lower league save, and I did start one with Slough Town, and I thought I could do something similar to what Lelujo's doing with the non-league to legends, and obviously me living in Bracknell, Slough is obviously the closest non-league team to me, so we were going to do that. And then, like, just this nagging thing of Bristol came into my head. So this is now the second iteration of what we want to do. And this series has been titled, and Bristol fans will know who these gents are quite well. Very, very big part of history of the club. In 1982, Bristol City were literally minutes away from ceasing to exist. They had their winding up orders. They needed basically to sort their finances out. And 8 players decided to terminate their contracts to allow Bristol to declare bankruptcy. I've got it on my phone here. I'll get more familiar with the names over time. But the 8 players who are now affectionately known as Ashton Gate 8, which is what the series is going to be called, were Jeff Merrick, Chris Garland, Trevor Tainton, David Rogers, Jerry Sweeney, Jimmy Mann, Peter Aitken, and Julian Marshall. So they were given an ultimatum. They agreed to have their contracts terminated or the club would fold. And then those 8 men are sort of considered the reason that Bristol City are still a club. And you will see in our icons page, you will see them there: David Rogers, Jeff Merrick, Julie Marshall, Jimmy Mann, etc. I love that story. I think that story is fantastic. They're sort of like the nearly there club. They've been nearly there a few times. You can see, based on what Football Manager's scouts seem to think, they've got fantastic training facilities, really, really good youth facilities, a very good stadium, 26,000 capacity seater stadium. It's no slouches. They've got a very, very, very good core. They've got a good sort of base and setup, and the catchment area. I'm not too far from Bristol, oddly enough. It's only about an hour and a half away. The catchment area for Bristol is massive. This club could be huge. But our idea, or my idea, I should say, for the Ashton Gate 8, and it's a rule for the series, what I want to do, ultimately, obviously, we want to take them into the Premier League, we want to take them to Europe, win Champions Leagues, win Premier Leagues, whatever, the sort of the basic FM thing. But what we want to do, and I won't class this save as a success until we have got 8 players who have come through our youth academy in the starting 11 and winning one of the Champions League or the Premier League with them. FA Cup and whatnot would be a massive success, obviously. But I mean, yeah, I think we're going to do our own version of the Ashton Gate 8. It's our time to remake, redo, rewrite history, make it more of a success story rather than one of like an absolute necessity. They're kind of like Martyrs. We don't want these lads to be martyrs. We want these lads to be legends of the club. People like Ephraim Yeboah, a 16-year-old Italian. If you have a little look, you have to bear with me. My mouse is broken, so I could use my click pad. He's fully Italian. He was born in Montreal. He has played for Bristol. He will count as one of the Ashton Gate 8. Bristol in themselves have got a fantastic, you can see it's a complete fresh shave, have got a fantastic group of young players come through. Tommy Conway, who those of you who keep up with the Championship and the lower leagues, what a player, what a fantastic player Tommy Conway is. He is so young as well, he's only 20. He's got what I like looking for in a striker, but there's just two examples. But yeah, Sam Bell, fantastic player. But what a club, fantastic youth academy, fantastic history. I had a lot of adversity and they're not just quite there, but we do want to build our own thing and we want to make the Ashton Gate 8 our own thing, kind of like the Lisbon Lions that Celtic do. We want to make it a success story rather than one of tragedy, and make the players not be martyrs, make the players be heroes, although they are still heroes. You see what I mean? Bristol fans will know exactly what I'm on about. I just think, in terms of a niche save, in terms of ideas for a save to really get our teeth stuck into, I think it's very, very good. I would class, and I'm going to put this out there, I would class Alex Scott as an Ashton Gate 8 player. If we could ever bring him back to the club, that'd be fantastic. But in terms of transfers out of the club, this year, I mean, the owners haven't done themselves any justice, really, have they? Jay De Silva was quite he played a fair bit for them. They lost Alex Scott for 25 million to Bournemouth. You cannot blame them. Fantastic player. £25 million for a 19-year-old. He's going straight to the very top. And then, obviously, they also lost Hanno Masengo on a free to Burnley, which is not fantastic. 99 games for Bristol. And to leave on a free to go and play for that fraud Vincent Kompany is a bit of a slap in the face. Not really replaced them. A few players have come in. Ross McCrory, who unfortunately does have, it classes as an injury on this, but he does have actually quite a serious illness in real life. There you go, serious viral infection. So good luck to him in real life for getting around that. Jason Knight came in from Derby County, a good young player. I say young, 22 years of age, can sort of play a bit. He's a bit of a battler, a bit of a harrier. And then obviously we've got Taylor Gardner-Hickman coming in on loan from West Brom. Somebody who I've had in previous saves, actually. You would have seen him in, what was it? It wasn't the Vallecano save. I want to say it was the Mad Hatter series, We've definitely had Taylor Gardner-Hickman in a previous iteration of the game. But it leaves us, it leaves Bristol, the Robins, with £7 million in the bank, with quite a healthy wage budget. And the idea I want to do, I've researched them quite a bit in real life. Obviously, Nigel Pearson, for whatever reason, was sacked. Try to change the way that Bristol do things, try to change it up a little bit. If we click on the tactics, you will see sort of the idea that they want a gegenpress, a wing play, direct counter-attack. Nigel Pearson did have them playing a very, very fluid and very, very good sort of defensive passing setup. There was a season, I think Andy Varman scored about 29, 30 goals playing that way. And then they had to change it up because we don't have a good midfield at the squad now. And it's very, very frustrating. If we go into the squad planner, actually, I can't because I've got to go into tactics. Bear with me 1 second. So yeah, this is sort of one of the things they used to do. They used to use a three at the back system. The goalkeeper would come out quite far. Pring would really push up. They've got the players to do it. But yeah, I'm kind of hybrid in the series. I feel like Vallecano was a very me way of playing it, where it's sod your scout and I'm just going to do it anyway. And I thought this series, my charm and personality alone wouldn't get us through. So we're just going to do a bit of a hybrid of everything. We are going to use some recruitment analysts. We're going to use some proper scouting. We're going to mix a little bit in to a bit more realism, kind of. Again, I did mention Lujo earlier. Kind of like the realistic thing. I'm not going to go out and search for staff. I'm going to let them apply for the jobs, and we're going to do things like that. I'm not going to be able to use the player search function because I think that's too easy. The only way I can search for a player is if the scouts have come in and scouted them, and then I can drill down the attributes from there. And this is what Curtis Fleming thinks our best 11 looks like if we're playing this back five formation. I did mention we don't have a lot of depth in the middle of the park. Matty James being one of the players. I believe it's either James or King are like a player coach. Matty James, again, championship level, mentally amazing. Technically is actually quite good, but physically maybe lacking a little bit. Obviously, Ross McCrory is injured. Jason Knight can play in the middle, can't really play deep, but can play as a 10, which is an interesting thing. Joe Williams, former Everton youth player, he's been around the block, hasn't he? Joe Williams, where's he been? Look at this. Barnsley, Everton, Bolton, Wigan, Bristol. One of those players that is master of none. I wouldn't say he's a jack of all trades, but he's definitely not a master of any trade. Probably somebody we would look to ship out. He's kind of in his prime and is not going to get much better. But that being said, obviously there are late bloomers, late developers, however you want to call it, in the game this year. So it makes your scouting a bit more interesting. There's positional play. There's all these things. I'm sure you all saw it in the early access. I'm sure you all watched countless YouTube videos to death. Read some brilliant blogs. There's some fantastic writers in the FM community. I spend a lot of my time doing that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting going, getting into the save. We're going to train a couple of different tactics, but the style's going to kind of stay the same. I really like. I got called a terrorist in the Vallecano save. I was kind of doing the inverted fullback thing in that save where we would tell the centre, it was a fullback on defend, and we'd tell them to sit narrower. And it kind of worked, but not to the implementation that it does on this. And I got called a footballing terrorist. I like football terrorism. I like the idea of, particularly with a team like Bristol, why now would we try and play a tiki-taka, a passing it round, nice, ooh, look, we're very good on the ball, because our midfielders are not capable of that. We can run and gun. We've got a lot of pace. We've got a lot of young players who can develop. Not a lot of height, so we can't really take advantage of set pieces. If we wanted the height, we would have to have like Varner, Dickey, Naismith, a 3-back. I think we're going to play a 4-2-3-1. I'm not going to have that as the actual thing. I'm just going to pause it there and I'll show you what I want to do. So this is the idea. Obviously, roles, duties. I've just asked Fleming to pick best roles and duties and the best team he thinks it is. But this is kind of the idea we want to do. We don't really have an amazing midfield, as I keep saying. These could potentially drop into CDMs at some point. But you can see what I mean. For championship level, they're decent at best. A lot of teamwork and whatnot on night. Matty James is obviously a bit more of like a defensive player. In terms of like in the middle of the park, Andy Vyman, a fantastic championship level player. Still has, again, fantastic championship level attributes. I actually think Nahki Wells could potentially drop into a shadow striker role. He's getting a bit old now, Nahki Wells. He's still actually got really good teamwork, fantastic work rate, and that would also allow Tommy Conway into the team. We've got Callum Sykes. Callum Sykes? Am I saying that right? It's Mark Sykes. Callum Sykes plays for Barnsley. I do know football. No, that's Callum Styles. I do know football. Don't take the piss out of me. Oh, all the lads in my fantasy draft tell me I've got zero ball knowledge, and I'm proving it on YouTube. But anyway, fantastic wingers, very good fullbacks, a good sort of supplementary striker. We could play it as like a 4-2-2. The idea is we are going to counter-attack. I think that's how we're going to do it best. We're going to draw them in. We've got a lower defensive line, which I'm not enamoured with. But the idea is they come into this low block and then bang. So we're going to basically play like the away team as much as we can. But that being said, because we are playing more direct and we do have better wingers, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell them to overlap. I'm going to tell them that we're going to focus on the flanks. I'm going to keep the attacking width standard because I'm telling them to play it wide anyway. So if we just tell them to go wider, then there will literally be nobody in the middle. We want Wells, we want Vyman, we want Sam Bell, we want Ben Rouse. We want all these players in and around the box. I actually think this is going to be the best way of playing. I've been accused of it in the past of just basically doing what Everton like doing. Kind of the inspiration for this, but you can see like we don't counter press, we don't regroup, we don't necessarily all get behind the ball. If we can win it high, we will win it high. Also, something again, this is what Everton do. We will and can, depending on the opposition, prevent short distribution. If we're playing against somebody like Norwich, who play like really heavy, high pressing football, we will try and press them from their goalkeeper. And another thing, a brand new feature of the game, obviously being the set piece coaching. Bristol do not have a set piece coach. We do have Curtis Fleming, though, who has got 15 for set pieces. He likes in-swinging corners to the near post. Ooh, you see what I'm saying? He's very much he's like the football manager god, essentially, in terms of corners. I want to try and keep it as realistic as possible by having staff members coach what they should be coaching. If we can get a decent set piece coach in, the set piece coach will do the set pieces and I'll have no say in it. I think that's fair. Think again, this is where the iteration of the birds and the bees come in. You think like Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, birds and bees, have all got set piece coaches and all do things slightly differently. You wouldn't see Jurgen Klopp telling Joe Gomez how to take a throw in. You wouldn't see Thomas Frank talking to Matthias Jensen to say stop throwing it long and you got to do this. They've got set piece coaches. It's a new feature of the game. We're going to use it how it's meant to be used. So with that being said, Curtis Fleming, you are now handling all our set pieces. You will also do the list of who's taken them. You will also decide who's going where. He's got decent enough. Don't forget we're in the championship. I would consider 12s and 13s as like higher end. Anything above that is like too good for the championship. Yeah, 9s to 12s is sort of average. So yeah, Curtis Fleming, he will be our set piece coach for the season until we can sort of decide to get one in. Obviously, I did say that I'm not going to advertise. Sorry, I'm not going to look for stuff myself. I'm just going to advertise and do it that way. Brian Tinian, who has been at the club forever, was a player, was a manager. 93 to 2004, then become a manager for a year, went back down, started playing more, and then came back in. Fairly determined personality, 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. Not amazing. He is a technical director and a director of football. But again, if you think of how we want to do it, 13s, 14s, anything above that is classed as elite for the championship. I'm quite happy with him. I'm not so happy with Gary Davenport. I've had a little look. It suits what Nigel Pearson wanted. He's young. He's got really, really good sort of like technical and tactical coaching. I'm going to look for another head of youth development. I'm going to try and renegotiate his contract so he just stays as an under-18s coach. If not, and I can't sort of get around it, I will just look for a normal head of youth development. And that will just be the one that we will allow for the save. Well, yeah, I think it's a very, very exciting save. I think it's quite niche, the idea of the Ashton Gate 8. Please let me know if you agree. It would mean a lot. But yeah, I'm just, we'll tinker a little bit. We won't try and play it just the normal, boring FM way and you just plug and play a tactic and you do this. We will look at attributes. We'll look at different things. We'll look at different strengths players have got. I've mentioned Nahki Wells. He's getting a bit older, maybe not as quick. He could drop into the shadow striker, off the ball 14, good pace, stamina, moves into channels, shoots a power, runs at the ball often, really good finishing, really good dribbling. He can cross the ball, so if he's in the channels, he can get the ball into the box. I think we're going to use him as that. It also means that we can use Vyman on the right-hand side. I'm basically just trying to sort of figure out what this squad is. Obviously, it's saying here that Vyman is kind of like that inside forward winger. I remember him doing that quite a lot at Aston Villa. I had no idea he played for Wolves. Okay. Yeah, but again, moves into channels, he places his shots, he gets forward, he's very, very strong on his right foot. He could be one of those wingers, the new winger role where you can tell him to cut in. It's good. It's good. I think there's actually a decent little setup here. We've got 7 million to play with, so I will allow the scouts to go out and look. I'm not going to sign players off the bat. I'm going to see what the scouts do. Agent offers we will take into consideration. We're trying to keep it as realistic as possible. It does happen. Reading and Everton fans will know the power that Kia Jarabchin holds over our idiotic owners. But yeah, we're going to... Let's try it. Let's try it. This is the only thing we can do. We can try it out. I'm going to go away now. I'm going to sort of set up in the background like some scouts. I'm going to have a little look at things like that. I don't know how to start. Just saying there, I'm not really sure on the moving pieces. Mark Sykes can play in the middle, can play as a wing back, can play as a mezzala, could play as a shadow striker. It's all kind of clicking into place already before we've actually gone away and done anything. I'm really looking forward to the save. I'm really looking forward to it. We definitely need to improve the middle of the park. If we can improve the middle of the park, we can get some willing runners in there. Obviously, Knight is definitely a willing runner. But if we can get some runners in there, a bit of pace, a bit of power, a bit more about us, we could potentially change the tactic up. But yeah, there's a lot to work with. There's a lot to work with. Just looking at a comment James left me on X, on Twitter, Bristol fan. Follow me. He said, you need to win the Champions League with Ephraim Yeboah, Tommy Conway and Sam Bell up front. You actually give me quite a bit of inspiration for this save, so thank you very much for your comments. Here's another one, Eamon Ben Rouse. He is wanted. I may send him out on loan, depending on who we can get in. But again, a very, very good player. 14 passing, 12 technique. He's good. He's got legs. Good young player, can definitely develop. But what I'm thinking of potentially going into, I'm not quite sold on Metmety yet. And that's not to say that I won't be, full stop. But I'm thinking originally and initially our first 11 will probably look like this. I think Conway and Bell need to play as much as they can. I think Bell, again, sort of either footed, coming in off either flank. I think he's a better option than Metmety, like an inside forward. Look at the attributes, man. Runs the ball down the left. He likes to beat the offside trap, knocks the ball past the opponent. I think you could literally just stick him as a winger and using that new thing to tell him to cut inside. Although he does run with the ball down the left, he will do it. Him cutting in could be absolutely fantastic. He could be a fantastic player. Could also play up front. There's a lot of cover there. And obviously, we've got Yeboah in the reserves, who we will bring through and use quite frequently. Really, really short introduction video. I'll try and upload as much as I can. I've had a lot going on. The Vallecano save ended because I actually changed jobs. Changed jobs, broke my toe, and caught COVID all in the same week. So I had a bit of a shit run of it at the start of October. But now we're in November. So we will use as much as we can. We will upload as much as we can. I'm going to go away. I'm going to go in the background. I'm going to do a couple of things. We might start at the start of the season. Who have we got first game of the season? Preston at home. Quite a difficult one, actually. Quite a difficult one. But yeah, anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate any support that you can give me on the channel, whether you like, whether you subscribe, whether you share, whether you follow me on Twitter and abuse me and call me a footballing terrorist. Whatever you choose to do, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you all next time for episode 2 of the Ashton Gate 8.